on Friday, the Big Ten came down with a notice in reference to Jim Harbaugh being suspended for the remainder of the 3 games in the regular season. While they did that, Michigan, and everybody knew that Michigan would be in flight. Pete Thamel reported that they would be in flight, and the Big Ten came down with a ruling. The pictures came out on social media, Joe. As soon as Harbaugh gets off the plane, he's met by Michigan officials who are telling him that he's been suspended for the remainder of the regular season. I do think that something had to be done. Okay. I think that there was way too much evidence in reference to what Michigan has done. Now, I know that there are reports out there that other teams were doing it. And I know that Michigan also said that, well, other teams were doing it too. The problem with all of this is I don't have the smoking guns for these other programs like I do for Michigan. Why not leak it to Pete Thamel? Why not give Pete Thamel some of the evidence that you gave to the Big Ten? You're giving it to the Big Ten, but you're not leaking the stuff that other people have leaked on Connor Stallions and yourself. The play sheet, the audios, the FBI investigation. There's a lot that's going on that just because other teams are doing it, okay, does not stop the fact that Michigan got caught red-handed. That's not where I'm going here. Okay. I get that there's still enough, but to suspend the man when you're still collecting data and you're still collecting evidence, and then to be an outright coward that you are, Tony Petitti, and to do it on a national holiday on Veterans Day and do it while the man is in transit, in flight to Happy Valley, Joe, that rubs me the wrong way. Pause, but it rubs me the wrong way. The Big Ten shows that you are nothing but cowards for doing that. Like, that's a cowardice move. So I don't like how the Big Ten handled this. You should have given the man at least the rest of the regular season, okay? If he goes, he goes. But then you could suspend Michigan. You could do something else to Michigan. The only thing, Joe, and I think Reese Davis illustrated this perfectly. You know what gets coaches' attentions? It's not suspended games. You know what it is? Recruiting.
What?
Okay. But I think that it was mishandled a little bit here. What did you think about the Harbaugh? What do you think about the Harbaugh suspension?
Well, we all know that I'm one of the few people willing to say that I think that any type of suspension I think is completely ridiculous because of, I know that you think that there is no smoking gun, but the fact that they're able to come forward with information that other teams are not only doing what they're doing, but also colluding with one another to share information. It's just a matter of which that they gathered the information that has been considered to be such an egregious act. But as what you're saying here, I think, and I still stand by, and I've said this throughout the whole process, suspending him during the season is a ridiculous action to take when there is not a proper investigation that can properly go through. There still needs to be a full comb over before you can jump to a conclusion. I think that Petitti let the pressure from the other teams get to him. I will say this, though, and I tweeted this out. I feel as though that this is merely just a posturing move by Petitti, which the whole thing is I don't want to say it's cowardice, but it's lame the way that he's handling it. He drops the big suspension so that Harbaugh is not able to coach against Penn State, and then he knows that restraining order comes through. There's going to be another lawsuit, and that is going to allow Harbaugh to get back onto the field until said court case is completed and it's done. That allows Petitti to appease the other teams in the conference for yelling at him for demanding that Harbaugh get suspended. And then on the flip side of things, it enables Michigan to still have Jim Harbaugh on the sidelines. It's just like a total non-move by the conference. It's a complete non-move. It's stupid. It's not. He didn't do anything.
It's not a non-move. Let me tell you why. They're admitting that he has guilt.
Michigan's admitting, or
no, the Big Ten. They're admitting that he has guilt. When you suspend him, and until you come down with an outright ruling, you are basically suspending him. Okay, without any proper ruling. Well, then make a ruling then.
Right. That's what I'm. Yeah.
They're suspending him because we need to collect more information. We're going to go ahead and suspend him. But it has nothing to do with suspending him. If you would have come out and said we are suspending him until further notice because of the evidence that we have now, would hit so much differently than the way that Tony Petitti legitimately did it. Like, you're doing that to take a shot at Harbaugh. You're doing that to take a shot at the administration of Michigan. Okay, not thinking about the kids, not thinking about the players, not thinking about anybody else besides yourself. And again, I said this when this man was fired, and you disagreed with me. Okay, well, he's a TV guy. He helps the Big Ten get into the next generation of TV. It never fucking matters, okay, when you have a TV guy who does not know what to do in these situations. You know who would not do that move?
Who?
Greg Sankey would
Blake,
never
we can't compare Tony Petitti to Greg Sankey.
They are the second best conference in the country. He has to put his foot down and stop being a little bitch and saying, oh, well, everybody's yelling at me. Let me just suspend him on a national holiday. He knew exactly what he was doing. It's a bitch move.
Because this is an incredibly complex situation to go through in your first year as a commissioner. I'm not giving him a pass. I'm not giving him a pass or anything, but to compare him to Greg Sankey, who's the best commissioner in college football, I understand that they deserve to be compared.
Know what? Greg Sankey's been commissioner. He's been a commissioner of 4 other leagues before he got to the SEC.
Who else should they have hired, though? There's not many other good options.
Position to do that. You mean to tell me that there's not a dude that as an assistant to Greg Sankey that's been under him for 15 years that could take that role?
Okay, you know what the counter, if the SEC ever went and hired somebody who was an assistant to a great Big Ten commissioner, the counter argument would have been that person doesn't know Southeastern football. So the same thing applies here, that the argument could be made. Why would we go hire somebody that doesn't have a familiarity with the market?
A TV guy. He's a TV guy.
He's also a former lawyer. You think that he doesn't know what he's doing? That's my whole question of this whole thing. This whole decision that he made and the action that he made is a total freaking lawyer move. It's a lawyer political move. That's why I don't agree with it. I think that it is a completely soft decision for him to do what he did.
Then what are you arguing about?
I just don't think it's fair to give him criticism when he's been there for a few months, and this is the most comcomplicated cheating scandal that's ever happened. Nobody would handle this properly. And
it's not the biggest. It's
one of the biggest. One of the biggest cheating scandals. One of the biggest on-field cheating scandals.
Fair. It is one of the bigger ones, but it's not bigger than Penn State.
No, that's a completely different monster.
Sure.
Okay, let me ask this: do you think Greg Sankey would, in his first few months as the commissioner of the SEC, you think you would have trusted him?
You know what it was called? Hugh Freeze. Hookers and cocaine on campus with a cell phone.
How long did he let that play out, though? How long did he let that investigate? Did he suspend him in the middle of the season?
No, he didn't.
I don't think it's fair to criticize him.
On campus. What's worse, sign stealing or hookers and cocaine?
Hookers and cocaine. Obviously, hookers and cocaine, because that is cut and dry. That is so obvious.
All right, something was cut.
That is so blatantly obvious.
Cut.
There's no conversation that needs to be had. Was that wrong that he had hookers and cocaine in the team facilities and on recruiting videos? No one had to have this conversation, but it is an ambiguous topic of if what Michigan did was necessarily as illegal as what other teams do, just because what they did was illegal per the specific rules of the rule book. But other variations of what they do is considered not illegal. Oh, God, that was probably one of the better quotes that we've had on this show.
I can't look at you.
That was pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie. I can't maintain a serious.
I mean, so look, in all seriousness, okay.
Yeah.
I will give him the benefit, but you got to put it in the statement. If he would have come out, okay, and said, all right, like if he would have come out and said, now he did mention it a little bit, but it wasn't a main reason, okay? If he would have come out and said that we are doing this because of further legitimate legal action that could be taken on Michigan, meaning Pete Thamel reported, okay, in reference to there being legal action on players that were hurt on the sign stealing scandal. Okay. If he would have made that a talking point and he would have said, I have to worry about the other, what would it be, 15 teams now because you got other ones coming into the league, other 15 teams coming in this league, I'd have been like, okay, I understand it. But he didn't say that. The number one thing he said he suspended Harbaugh on was because I need to collect more data. So
that's what he should have done. I don't disagree. I think that the action itself is the incorrect move and that he jumped to a conclusion, but I think that it was deliberate in his decision-making. I think that his intention was to appease the other teams, for them to say to them, I did what you wanted me to do. You wanted me to suspend him, knowing full well that Michigan was going to counter. They're going to win the lawsuit. They're going to win the lawsuit if this goes to court. And then eventually Michigan can't be upset because he walks scot-free. It's just a total lawyer political non-move is what I'm getting at, because it's not going to change the situation. Nothing negative or positive comes out of this.
Do you want to keep talking about signs? Type Y and everybody's saying no. Okay.